support of the Robinson family took place last night, with even more planned for this morning.
Community leaders and clergy got ahead of the DA's decision and called for peaceful demonstrations. One of those leaders is Bishop Harold Rayford from the African American Council of Churches, along with Dr. Ruben Anthony. He is the president and CEO of Urban League of Greater Madison, and both gentlemen are joining us this morning. Thank you so very much for getting up early. Bishop, let's start with you. Your reaction to Ishmael Ozan's decision?
Well, we weren't surprised by anything that we heard as it relates to the events leading up to the altercation. We had already heard about the demeanor of young Tony Robinson. So again, we weren't surprised. The first takeaway for me was that young people need to understand the danger of drugs, even in a recreational format. They change your behavior. And the young man that was described yesterday doesn't match the description from the family and the friends and the teachers that knew him. So that was my first reaction. Secondly, as I listened to the details and watched the subsequent video, I saw some opportunities for the officer to make different choices. And I would hope that this would be an example for future officers as to what not to do. Just a few seconds later, he had backup, and I don't want to lose sight of the fact that I think this could have been handled completely differently by Officer Kinney.
Dr. Anthony, as you watched that yesterday and you saw what happened later on in the evening with peaceful rallies and yet insistence to remain vigilant and continue to bring this issue up, what were your reactions?
My first reaction is that this is a tragedy and the grieving starts all over again. So our hearts go out to the family of Tony Robinson, and our hearts go out to the community because the community is grieving all over again. And I think that grieving will be expressed again through protest. But one of the positive things in this whole situation is that the community is coming together, and the community is trying to find out how we can allow people to continue to express their civil disobedience in a peaceful way. Yesterday at the Madison Urban League, we had quite a bit of volunteers coming in, finding out how can we help? How can we help people get out and peacefully express their civil disobedience, but at the same time recognize that this is a serious situation for this community? So there's so many entities, from the United Way to the Boys and Girls Club to the 100 Black Men, and just folks that really care about Madison. The bottom line for many of us is, like, how do we keep this community whole at the end of the day, recognizing that this is a tragedy with multiple dimensions. It's a tragedy to the community, it's a tragedy to the family. It's a tough time for the police. It's a tough time for Ishmael Ozan, who gave a very detailed description. I think he might have pretty much set like a benchmark for how you really need to fully disclose facts in cases like this. So it's a difficult time for this community, but I think that when we come together as a community, we can do some great things. And we still have a lot of work ahead of us. And so today there'll be protests. There are other volunteers that will come out. At 7:30 this morning at the Urban League of Greater Madison, we'll have that peacekeeping team come back to debrief from what happened yesterday, and then today we're ready to work again.
You mentioned that it's grieving all over again, and it seems like a new chapter. It's starting all over. Bishop, yesterday we were talking about how we get the community to heal, because it's not a Band-Aid. You have to. So now that you could speculate yesterday before the decision came out of what you could do, but now it seems like you get a clearer picture, and there's still so much anger. There's still so much anger out there. What can you do now?
I think it's important for us to feel like the young people are talking to us. Again, we cannot be in denial that their concerns, that their pain is real, and I don't want anyone to dismiss it as being unnecessary or overboard. If you look in the faces of those young people, if you look in the face of that family, and I want to say that I don't think we can compliment the family enough because their constant call for peace and cooperation has been unwavering and unprecedented. And they have been the catalyst for, I think, the peaceful protests that have happened, and everything that goes on that has been productive has been at the wish of the family. So I can't say enough about them. But the grieving process, we have to allow everyone to say what's on their heart. whether we agree with it personally or not, their feelings are real.
Bishop Harold Rayford from the African American Council of Churches, Dr. Ruben Anthony, CEO of the Greater Urban League of Madison. Thank you both so much for being with us this morning.
Appreciate it.
We appreciate it.